Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace. Welcome to The Natural Cook. I'm Anna Gershenson. We have a very special episode today because Ora Whitman is here.
Hi.
She is a legend in Pittsfield. She ran Cafe Riva for 11 years on Tyler Street. Unfortunately, it had to be closed down, and then Riva went and explored other things, and now she's back. And thanks to her, we actually have Berkshire Mountain Bakery here in Pittsfield because she runs this together with her wonderful cafe where she makes beautiful food, healthy, delicious, flavorful. She came to our area directly from Paris, but prior to that, she actually was growing up on the West Coast, Oregon, California, Israel. This is a highly traveled person.
Yes, I got all that under my belt
yes,
early.
with many gifts. So today, because Christmas is coming, holidays are coming, whoever is celebrating what, appetizers are always something that people yearn, and they are so easy to eat. And then we want to show you how easy it is to make them, right, Ora?
That's right.
Okay, so you see, we have prepared here all kinds of things that will go inside the dough or on top of the dough. And I will quickly show you how to make this very simple dough. It's like a pie dough, but you don't have to worry about adding water because that's where people get confused, right?
Right.
Where like, was it too wet or, you know,
Yeah,
like.
they actually even never tell you in a recipe. It's always to feel.
To feel,
So
right.
if you don't know what to feel for.
Exactly, right. You have to have a knack for feeling first.
Right.
Okay, so to make the dough, we need flour and preferably all-purpose. I love King Arthur.
Yes, I use that as
Right, and also we need frozen pieces of butter. So it's just 4 ounces of butter, which is half a cup, that is cut into half-inch cubes, frozen, and then 3 ounces of cream cheese, also cut into cubes and cold. And then I'll show you quickly, if you measure flour, you have to just kind of loosen it up and then put it into a cup, and then you will just take a knife, and with the back of the knife or this wonderful tool, you will just like even it out. Another tool, which is very, very convenient and the one that I recommend and I use at home all the time, very precise, is weights. 120 grams is a cup of flour, and this is what we have. I will just put a little pinch of salt. Salt always brings out flavors. So no sugar here, nothing. So we will put it in the food processor and just let it run to, again, kind of aerate it. Add our butter, run it, and while I'm making this, Ora will start making, you know, whatever filling. Right, right.
I'm going
So,
to pick these beautiful organic pears, which I'm going to keep the skin on because they are so lovely. And I love the little Parisian. Need. I love the versatility of the dough. If you can make it into something sweet, something savory.
absolutely. And you can make a pie,
Right,
or you
or
can make a galette.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. So you're right, you can make either a large one or appetizer.
Right. And, you know, you process until you see that it looks like cornmeal, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
You don't really want to have big pieces of butter because then when they are cooking, baking, they are going to be melting and creating the smoke in the oven.
Right.
And you don't
Right.
want
No.
that, okay, to smell up your whole apartment or house. So once we have this very, very fine, looking like a cornmeal mix, then we add our cold cream cheese. So remember, the butter is frozen and the cream cheese is cold. And then we process it until it starts forming a ball. Okay.
So of course we're using pears today. You can use apples, you can use any other kind of ripe fruit. You know, cranberries are nice to kind of give a little leftover cranberry sauce for the
Yes,
holidays,
yes,
right?
yes.
I always find that making, you know, hors d'oeuvres, especially with some pastry like this, it's like sometimes you just have a little bit of a piece of cheese or,
Yes.
you know, you can almost make a meal with it too.
That's
Do
that's
and then
that.
have a salad next
That's
to
the
it.
fun. That's the fun of having things in the house. I always, when I see something that looks beautiful, I just buy it.
Yeah, right. You're like, I'm going to utilize that. I'm gonna use
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, this will be my inspiration.
Right.
Yes.
We all
So
need to be inspired.
yes, absolutely, and not being afraid.
No, exactly.
Yes.
Because what's the worst thing that can happen?
Right. Okay. So now, as you can see, I have these. You know, the ball hasn't formed yet, but you can see that everything started adhering to each other.
Yes.
And at this point, you can either take a piece of plastic or you can take a piece of wax paper. And see, I'm covering it and just so that it doesn't fall everywhere.
Very nice.
And taking it out of the bowl. And because people are endowed with different temperature hands, I've noticed.
Right.
And my hands, I wanted to be a pastry chef, and I was so happy that my hands were always cold. Because if your hands are warm, guess what happens?
It melts.
Everything
It's true.
melts.
That's right.
Okay, so you take this and you just shape it into a disc, and you see these discs. So this is what you do. You just shape it into a disc, and you make sure that everything is even on the sides, and then you flatten it. And I even like taking like a pot, you know, because it has even surface. See, I pat everything around. See, just make sure that you pinch these to have them like, and put it in the refrigerator. It can stay there like at least 30 minutes if you want to work on it right away, or for 5 days, or for a month in the freezer. Okay, take it off.
So, I'm going to roll this out.
And see how Aura is rolling. She's starting in the middle, and when she is coming closer to the end, she's not really pushing it down, because it's very easy to make the edges too thin if you go all the way, roll all the way. You just stop very, very close to the end.
Right. And I don't go back and forth,
Right.
because that heats up the dough.
Right.
So,
So we are just so lucky that Aura is not only a great cook, but she's also a great baker. And so she can share her techniques with us and her knowledge and inspiration. And as you can see, you know, we floured the board so that it doesn't stick. And if you need to add, so make sure that you have enough flour, right? A little bit on top, right? So I will chop the nuts for you.
and so today we're going to, the first ones we're going to start with are pear and blue cheese with some rosemary.
Yes. And what
Do you have a thickness that you go to? Like this is,
I think that this is good.
right? Yeah.
It's about 1/8 of an inch.
Yes.
And this is good thickness whether you make a pie or galette. You know, this is a thickness to go to where you make your appetizers,
Right.
because it will be a little flaky.
Correct.
Yes.
And one of the most important things, you know, no matter what you pick to put in there, it just can't be too watery, because you don't want it to ruin the crisp of your pastry.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to do a few different things. This one I'm going to make into a strip.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit of a rustic strip.
Yes.
I'm going to take a little bit of the blue cheese and lay it down.
Blue cheese and pears, it's like match made in heaven, right?
My favorite.
Yes. And by the way, speaking about pears, if you want to cook with pears, you really have to think in advance because pears need time to ripen.
Yes.
And you don't want to put pears that are unripe. They will never cook. Right.
They won't. They'll remain
Yes,
hard. They almost
exactly.
have a starch in there.
Yes.
That, and then, when you do it with this, you don't need any sugar. You don't need anything else. It's
Right.
just
Right. There is plenty of sugar in the fruit.
Exactly.
Yes. So whenever you don't have to put extra sugar.
Right. Try not to.
Yes, and that's why it's also good to make. There is
Correct.
no sugar in the dough, and the fruit is natural sugar. So this is awesome.
Right. And have some beautiful rosemary here. Rosemary can be very strong, so I try to use it in moderation. A little bit goes a long way.
Yes, and rosemary is this amazing herb that is actually very good for you. Like
Yes.
it's even like they are saying that people who have memory lapses or suffering from oncoming dementia or anything like
Really?
that you can actually, you should be smelling rosemary because
It
will
is
wake
very
you up.
invigorating.
Yes,
It's,
absolutely. Yes.
It's also great for like achy muscles. I know, I'm just going to borrow this one
Yes.
second.
Yes.
I traveled without my own knives today. I did bring a rolling pin though.
Well, you knew I was coming.
I know, right? So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of that on the pears.
Yes. And by the way, we preheated the oven to 400 degrees. And you can line this with a piece of parchment if you want it to stay clean, then you don't have to wash it, and it will be very easy.
And I'm just taking this
Yes.
now and I'm just folding it up just a little bit.
Yes.
Just because it'll catch all the little bit of juices from the pears.
Right.
And I actually I think maybe we should do that egg wash
Egg
right
wash,
now.
yes,
and then that way
absolutely.
we
Yes.
can
Yes.
be certain that'll happen.
Absolutely, yes. So egg wash is a binder. It will make things stick. So we will just put just a little bit of
It's the baker's glue.
right. Yes, a little bit of water and the egg. And I will you can do it with a fork. I'll do it with my little whisk.
I know there's some people that use milk, but water works just fine.
Yes, absolutely.
And you always have it.
Yes, absolutely. Because I personally, I stay away from most dairy because of my diet.
And then there's a lot of people
Yes.
who do that
Yes.
nowadays. So it is a very good idea.
Yes.
And I'm going to actually egg wash this
Okay.
while it's on here.
Yes. Okay.
Easier.
And so you don't need to grease the baking sheet or anything because there is enough fat in this dough. And so you don't need to worry about it. You also, what you can do, another thing is when, that they recommend when you work with dough like that, if you see that it got too soft, then it might be a good idea to put it back in the refrigerator.
Right.
To solidify it because it is it's the fat there that shouldn't be melting inside because it's the fat that will create the layers in the dough, and when it's cold then it's more likely to happen. Okay, so I will just clean this up.
Thank you.
So that the egg wash is not going to start cooking here and creating burn. Okay, so that's this is why the parchment would be very handy, or a
Right.
piece of foil, right, that will help you keep this clean. Okay,
I'm
I brought also pumpkin because it's so seasonal, and it's easy to combine it with a little bit. Pumpkin is very sweet by itself, and we have beautiful canned pumpkin, and of course it's also very nutritious because
I love pumpkin.
right, because there are so many good beta carotenes there. This is cinnamon.
is also very good for you.
Yes. Are you going to put everything?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Did you-
afraid
did
it
you
will be.
not
Yes,
measure
I didn't measure. Right, I didn't measure. So
Okay, yes,
just-
there we go,
yeah,
you do.
Okay, and this is ginger,
Yes.
another wonderful thing, and these are the flavors.
Were you
that
just putting that out to show people?
Yes, I know.
I'm just throwing it all in.
Right. That are actually kind of married to pumpkin, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And by the way, a trick about brown sugar, because we are sharing tricks with
Yeah,
you
yes,
today,
yes.
is that if your brown sugar gets hard, don't despair.
Mm-mm.
Just take a piece of apple, a slice of apple, stick it there, close it, and it will soften like magic, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yes.
Also, great for ripening avocados.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And a piece of bread also works.
A piece of bread, right?
Yep.
That's right. Moisture. Anything that has
right.
some moisture in it.
Cookies too. If you have
Yes.
cookies that are going a little.
Yes.
Okay, so just like I had said before, it's very
Yes.
important not to have too much filling.
Yes.
What do you think? A little bit of a pecan on that?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well,
Or we could.
should we put a whole pecan? That
Yeah,
will be very
that-
pretty.
that would
I know
be.
that I chopped some, but this will be.
Very
And
nice.
actually,
There we
if,
go.
even if when we brush our glaze on top of pecan, it will get kind of shiny, right?
yes,
Which
it will.
be also visually beautiful.
It will be.
Okay. See how easy it is? Just open a can. You don't have to roast your own pumpkin. We have so many things, in our supermarkets. And actually, it's funny. I'm laughing about it, but most of the things that in those middle aisles, I really never buy.
Yep.
So,
Well, sometimes, but
but this
it'll
is
take the intimidation out of it
Yes.
because would someone want to
Yes.
attack a whole pumpkin? Now,
Absolutely.
me, I used 6 of my pumpkins I had left from jack-o'-lanterns,
Yes,
but that's just
yes.
me.
I know.
But
And this makes it fun for you.
well,
but
well,
not-
right, and it takes some of the challenge of doing the whole pumpkin out.
Yes, yes,
And
right,
this piece is a little,
yes.
but I'm going to show you that that's okay.
Okay, see? What I will show you when you have this weird-looking piece.
It's okay. That's the one that
okay.
you
Yes.
sample in the kitchen
Yes.
before you send it out to your guests.
Okay. All right. So Ora, I read that you were
Touch that
actually catering. You were catering in Paris when you were in Paris.
Yes.
That you were part of the catering team that was celebrating Julia Child's birthday,
Yes.
which is really like such a special connection.
Oh, that was
yes.
yes. And then getting to meet her.
Yes.
That was something special, boy. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
when the chef instructor asked who would want to do it, I was like, who wouldn't? Oh,
Right,
please.
right, exactly. Yes. I can tell you that we actually have this connecting us as well.
Yes.
I never got to meet Julia Child,
Mm-hmm.
but I made a wedding cake for my friend
Yeah.
whose daughter was getting married, and she asked
Yeah.
me to make the wedding cake. And I totally forgot that Julia Child was going to be a guest there. And
Which is a little intimidating, right?
right. And I thought, oh my God, thank God that I forgot about it. The next day, she's calling me and she said, with her French accent, Julia said it was the best cake she had at a wedding. And I thought, oh my God, this was like,
the
Blessing
the
from
amazing
heaven.
thing
Yes.
About her that I took away, of
Yes.
course, her
Yes.
accomplishments and her
Yes.
contributing to,
Yes.
she was so gracious
Yes.
and so humble.
yes,
And her laughter was just amazing.
yes.
So
yes.
it was, not only was she this amazing icon,
Yes.
she was just the loveliest person. It was really quite a day for me.
Yes. She actually, we have to be grateful to her because she put real food on the map in this country.
And she did.
Yes,
And
yes.
watching some of her old PBS shows,
Yes.
I love that she was so human, that she would drop something and
Yes.
she would laugh about it. And she
Yes.
said, your guests will never see that.
Yes.
Not that, we all do that, but it just showed that she was just, just a regular person.
I know. And then she would say, when you make a cake, if there is a faux pas, she'll say, "You're the only one who knows it. Never tell anybody."
Don't put it out and start making excuses
Yes,
for it, right?
yes, because you can patch it up and nobody will ever know.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Okay.
This one was a little irregular.
Yes.
But it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just call it rustic then.
Yes, I know.
It's rustic.
Yes. Should we sprinkle like a little bit of sugar?
Yes.
On top?
I think that would
Just
be a
it
great
will-
idea to
yes.
caramelize it a little bit.
Yes, and it will
it'd
give
be
it a
beautiful.
nice crunch.
Yes.
Yes.
I like this. This is like the turbano, isn't it?
Well, this
This one?
yeah, I was thinking of taking turbinado sugar because that's the one I use at home as well.
Mhm.
And that turbinado actually would be perfect sugar to go on top of a pie. This is organic brown sugar.
Oh, it's
yes,
it's
but it
very
has-
similar. Yeah. it's
Yeah,
nice.
it has nice texture. Yes.
And I was
Alright.
thinking,
Yes.
I don't know, I was thinking these, since they're
Yes.
just odd shapes, it would
Right.
be fun to
Yes,
just sprinkle some Parmesan on them.
absolutely. See,
Great as a
don't
little, and don't
waste
throw away anything.
Yes, and you can even like chop a little bit of thyme, right?
Oh, yes, actually, that
Yes,
would be lovely
yes,
with that.
Yes.
If you've got the time. My staff sometimes, I know they roll their eyes, but I'm very puntastic in the kitchen. It just keeps it fun.
Right, I know.
With food, there's
Yes.
a lot of them, so.
Yes, absolutely. You have to enjoy yourself because
Yeah.
if you become too serious, I always say that it's your energy that goes into food.
Absolutely.
And you better enjoy what you do when you are cooking
Right.
because all the love, that you have, it goes into food, and when people eat it, they feel it.
I agree.
And food is probably more delicious when you cook with love and
You do, because
being
it's
relaxed.
just, yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yes. So we are going to put this in the oven, 400-degree oven. How long do you think it might take?
I'm going to say we should check them probably in like 10 minutes.
Yes. So we will take a break so that you guys can see how lovely it looks, and we'll be right back. So let's look at the fruit of our labor.
Yes, it's
Yes.
beautiful.
All right. So first of all, let's tell our viewers what to look for to make sure that what we are cooking is ready.
Oh, with this dough, you want to have it nice and brown on the bottom. It's got a nice even brown, the butter distributed beautifully. It's nice on top, and again, because the filling wasn't real watery, that firmed up really nice, it's going to be nice and cooked in there. And then these little beautiful extras that we had left over,
Yes.
so you'll never have any pastry dough left over. We just did the little Parmesan. Those would be delicious as a snack, or you could make them longer as like cheese straws.
Yes, you can even roll out your piece of dough.
Right.
And just make these long sticks.
Yeah.
First you actually sprinkle with everything,
Right.
Then you cut it either with a knife or with a pizza cutter or with a dough scraper.
Yeah.
And place them on a lined baking sheet. And you will have these beautiful appetizers or something to go with soup.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Delicious.
And let's see how it tastes.
Yeah.
And see how flaky that
It is. Look
dough
at that.
is.
You could. Yeah.
I cannot believe it. So easy.
That's so easy. It's so delicious.
And
And you can really see the flakes in there.
I
It's
know.
lovely.
let's see what this one is like.
Mm.
And you know what Ora did with leftover dough, and we'll show you? We're actually making a dessert
With the, oh, thank
with
you.
the pears. We had leftover pears. So what we did is
Oh.
just rolled out the dough and ate 1/8 of an inch. And then Ora placed the pears
The pears, yep. And then,
overlapping.
yep.
And then you
So
sprinkle.
yeah, and the walnuts and and I was talking to Anna too. You could even go a step further when you use these, or even the dough, and flavor the dough with an herb.
Absolutely. So you can, when you are pulsing, when you are making your flour in the food processor, then you chop the herbs, and then you throw them in, and just let them
Marry into
mix
the dough.
together, right?
Yeah.
And they will, the aromatic oils will flavor the flour, and especially when fat gets there,
Right,
because
then
it's the fat that transports
That's exactly
the flavor.
right. It always, fat soluble.
This is the best.
Yeah, that's delicious. This with like a side salad.
I know.
These you could, even go a little bit. You could serve them with some cranberry sauce, or just by themselves.
Right. This it can be an appetizer that you are passing.
Right. A dessert.
Or dessert. And
Or you could make a full entree one.
Yes. Well, it is here when we were talking with you about the marriage of blue cheese and pear, this is just heaven, right?
Oh, yes.
When you eat it, it's just such a wonderful combination.
It is.
And also you have to make sure that your pears are cooked through.
Absolutely.
Because if your pears are still hard, it's not going to.
No, and they will stay hard, and they
Right.
won't marry in. Right.
Right, absolutely.
The only thing I would suggest if
Yes.
you didn't have a ripe pear is you could poach it,
Right.
and then make sure that you just take the excess off, and that
Yes.
would work. But
then you are getting yourself into more work.
exactly.
Okay.
Find some pears. If they're not ripe, put them on your counter
Right.
in a couple days.
So we wanted to show you. So this is actually, this is the galette that we had in mind. You don't have to make a pie when you have a dough, because setting it into a pan and knowing how to actually position it there, because it's all very important how to work with a dough here. You just put it on your baking sheet, and you can actually even use the flip it, because then it will be so easy for you to remove it, right?
Right.
Make sure that it is cold.
Correct.
The baking sheet is cold, and then put your pears, and if you want to put cheese there as well, you can do that. Here, did you sprinkle Parmesan on top?
I did.
Yes. Okay, so I think that I just wanted to show it. The pears are still a bit hard.
Right.
So we are going to put it back into the oven to finish off. But in the meantime, we'll remind that this dough that is so easy is just 1 cup flour.
Right.
Half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick. So 1
Correct.
cup flour, 1 stick butter.
3 ounces
and 3
cream
ounces
cheese.
of cream cheese.
Yep.
And
Little pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt, right. And then you can do whatever you want. You can even sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar, and that's it. So Ora, it's fantastic that you found the time to come.
Yes, my
and
pleasure.
to share your love of food and cooking.
Always.
And for us to speak the chef talk.
Yes.
And happy holidays, everybody.
My pleasure. Happy holidays, everybody.
Join us again next time. Bye.
Bye.
Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace.